how to see things as Anishinaabe, and be strong in who they are, and believe in who they are. And we look towards the west, the spirit in the west. We're asking our men to be those men, Anishinaabe men again, the providers and protectors of our families and community and our nation, to start standing up and standing up with the women to understand our roles and responsibility, to be helpers to our families and community and nation. We look towards the north. We're asking the Spirit over there, if all possible, to give us that guidance and direction. And our grandmothers, our grandfathers, they sit there and they give us directions on our life and how we are to walk it. From their experience, because they lived here longer than we have. And we respect them and acknowledge them for the gifts that they have. So we ask for that healing, that guidance, that direction. We ask our Spirit, and if you ever think of, in our language, we call our women kwe, and the real pronunciation is akwe. And it means you model yourself after the earth and how sacred the earth is. And we are nurtured from women. And that's our identity of who we are as a people, because we are spiritual. And because we are like that, here we are rekindling old relationships, and our ancestors from the 1700s are looking back at us and seeing how we are in the future now, re-establishing those relationships. So that's what we're saying with our tobacco, because in our tobacco we're asking for guidance because of our worldview and how we look at things and how we do things. It's time for us to take back our voice so that we express ourselves from our true identity of the spirit of intent of who we are. So I'm going to smoke this pipe at the sacred fire, because I don't know in our communities in the North Shore between Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie, we do smoke it in our gyms because it's sacred. And we do smudge because that is our way. But other places, they don't allow this happening. And so what we are really doing here is working together to establish a new beginning, a new relationship with ourselves and our ancestors will guide us. It's not I think that's 5 minutes.
Which, if anyone would like to offer tobacco to Mike, you're welcome to. There's also a fire outside by the side of the road and one across the street at the roundhouse that you're welcome to give tobacco. So we'd like to ask Chief Stacey LaForne to come up and welcome you to the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation.
I'm not going to speak first. I'm going to ask, because I was taught in our story that Mother Earth was the first delineation of gender, and I have two female chiefs here, so I would ask Chief Phyllis Williams from Kurt Lake to come up and say the first words.
It means lots of love, understanding, and unity. It means hope for our communities. It means making our ancestors and those who guide us and teach us every day much more meaningful. And I'm very, very proud to be here amongst you. Chimiwaj.
Also ask Chief Kelly, Scuba First Nations.
Indishnikas, Wabsashido down Skoogog Minising Nujaba. My name is Kelly LaBronca. I'm the chief of the Mississaugas of Skoogog Island First Nation down in Port Perry. I just want to say thank you for hosting this event. Thank you to New Credit. And thank you to all of you who came out here to celebrate and commemorate what is a really special occasion. For some of you might know, Skoogog's a pretty tiny little First Nation and even tinier unreserved population. And I just want to say on behalf of my members that we don't have a lot here representing Skoogog right today. Tracy and I are here. Tracy's always out and can always be counted upon to be representing the people so proudly. But I do want to send my regrets on behalf of Councillor Della Charles and Elder Leona Charles, who were unable to be here today, and as well.
Not because it's my favorite chief, but because it's on top of this. No, I'm just kidding. Could I invite Chief James Marsden from Alderville First Nation?
Miigwech, Bojo, and I'd like to acknowledge the territory of Mississauga New Credit First Nation. Also the drum and the singers that led us here today in the opening prayer at Thanksgiving. I'm chief of Alderville First Nation. We moved to Alderville in 1837. And one quick little story over Thanksgiving, we took, I think it was 70 members from Alderville. Elders, youth, and dancers and the drum, and we visited Grape Island, which I see Peter Jones's pipe is over in that corner. Well, it was Peter Jones and John Sunday set up that island. It was, I think, 10, 11 acres, 200 members lived there to learn, take up farming and learn the faith of the Methodist Church. So Thanksgiving, we did our little tracing our roots there. I see Peter's name there, and so we know all that past history. I guess you could say we're the Mississaugas of the East. We also did a visit with the city of Kingston. We were also the Mississaugas of Kingston, and then they moved us down the Bay of Quinte, so we're the Grape Island, Mississauga. Now we're the Alnwick, Mississauga now, which later changed to Alderville First Nation. But I'd just like to say a big cheesy wedge to Tracy and all the staff that helped organize this event. It's important, nationhood, that we all talk in one voice. It makes us all stronger, and that's what we're here today, push our issues forward and protect our land and our waterways. So, Chibi Witch for this beautiful event. And I did bring our veteran staff carrier, Morris McKenzie, and Councillor Pam Crow, who's been on council for many years. So, again, big Chibi Witch there.
Next, I'd like to ask Chief Greg Cowley from Hiawatha to please come up.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize the drum and the singers for their opening today, the elder for his prayer and his pipe teaching around some of that, and I believe he may have already stepped to the fire to light that pipe at this time. I don't see him back there. So, anyways, I guess it's a great honor to be here. We've talked about this for a long time. I think prior to Stacy, Chief Brian Reform, who I'd also like to recognize, who's done a lot of work for this community and for the Mississauga Nation. I don't like to talk about Hiawatha territory, Kirk Lake territory, New Credit territory. I think it's all Mississauga territory, and we really need to get by our individualism and look at it as a nation and nation territory. I think we'll go a lot farther, work together. I know there's a little bit of differences in our treaties. Most of the rest, I guess, other than Mississauga and New Credit, Scugog, Oliver, Hiawatha, and Curve Lake are First Nations that were affected by the Williams Treaty, which we're fighting in court, and we need to have that changed. I think we're making some tremendous strides ahead on that. I see some people from the Canadian government here today, so hopefully they can, maybe we can chat and educate them a little bit of what we need and where we want to go with that. I think, I don't think they come here just to listen to me talk, so especially on thank yous, we like to bend their ears and get them on side and educate them and make them know our needs and wants and what has to happen in our communities to be successful. With that, I guess I'd just like to thank New Credit for hosting today. Over the past, this is a few gatherings now. We've been to, actually Mississauga was our original one, I believe, that New Credit did kind of organize or put together. We've been to Mississauga, 8, in the Blind River, the north area, our northern friends. We've been to Hiawatha, and now we're back in New Credit, or in New Credit's territory here. So it's been good. We've had lots of teachings around each other's First Nations. We've been able to participate in their communities, have a look around, see what's different, see what's the same. But at the end of the day, I think we're all the same. We all have the same goal. Everything that we've talked about over the last little while seems that, and deep in my heart, I believe it's reachable. Whether it be, as someone talked about, economic development or even just nationhood, just coming together. And I really look forward to it, especially economic development. I think part of our success will be in own source revenue, and we can go forward and gain from it. And I think that's where we all really need to focus. I'm excited. We've talked about some development, and I look forward to future talks around that. But work together is our goal, and so far that's all I've seen with the chiefs at the tables here so far in the past 4 or 5 years that it's started. So with that, I'm going to leave it. I'll turn it back over to Stacy, and I think you can introduce the rest. Thank you.
Could I ask Reg to come up, Chief Reginald, Mississauga 8 First Nation?
Ani bonjour, Kuengere Nishnikas Mesbelging Donjaban Hamedorum, Gima Reg Nignabi, the Mississauga First Nation. I had a really good sleep last night. I think part of it is because you travel for 7 hours, you get here, and you're still in Mississauga territory. It's a beautiful place to be in. But last night I was really excited about coming here and sign this accord. For me, it's a big, exciting thing because it's been a long time in the making and a long time coming. There's many things that go along with this, other than the nationhood and the economic development and these different opportunities that we're talking about. There's underlying successes within there too. For myself, a lot of this started for me, not only just learning the history, but it started with our former chief, Douglas Daywich, and he couldn't be here today. Douglas passed on into the spirit world earlier on this year. But many nights and many days and many trips, because when I was counselor and he was chief, we traveled, and we'd have this discussion about these Mississaugas and the other Mississaugas and the nations and coming back together. And at those meetings that we'd go to, he'd introduce me to Chief LaForne, or he'd introduce me to Chief Jim Marsden, or he'd introduce me to Chief Keith Knott. I'd get to meet these people and we'd discuss a little bit. And he'd introduce me to them and we'd talk a little bit, then we'd go back and me and Doug would sit and we'd talk some more about Mississauga nationhood coming back together. So with that, I'd like to acknowledge him right now. with the Creator, and he's moved on to those happy hunting grounds. And I'm sure he's doing very well there. Although I never saw him hunt a day in his life. I joke, but I love the man. He's amazing. So, although he's not here with us today, I know he's here in spirit and he sees what's happening here today, and I hope he's got a big smile on, because he was known for his smile and his graciousness. But not only that, touching on that and that coming back to those nationhood, our nations were only divided by, the Indian Act and, should I say, colonial encroachment. But today, under this, we're coming back together in a big way. And for me, a hint of that is coming back to our traditional ways and our traditional roots and our traditional ties. And settling in on that big word that we have out there now, and that's decolonization. We're moving into that realm with this sort of initiative. And I'm looking forward in the coming months, in the coming years, in the coming decades, to being able to sit with all the Mississaugas in this room, young and old, and have gatherings, and resume those natural ways and those natural talks about what we used to have and our natural acts of government for ourselves as First Nations. So, if I can't sleep tonight, it's because I'm really excited of what took place today. So, miigwech, thank you for being here.
Miigwech. We reached out to Brian to try to get him to invite him back to the ceremonies because even though Brian is no longer the chief here, we have asked him to fill in on one occasion and go meet with certain reps and who he knew he had a relationship with, and they were friendly. So we thank you for that, and we have many, many people here who I'd like to thank who are one of the reasons, or two of the reasons, or 10 of the reasons that we are here today gathered like this. The first meeting that I went to with the Mississauga Nations, I think we were in Toronto Airport or one of those areas, and we were all talking about it, and we were all excited about it. But we were sort of talking like, how do we get back together? And we were talking about our people and stuff, and as everybody from my community knows, and probably from, well, the rest of the Mississauga Nation will soon know, I write poetry. And I'm never hesitant to write. So, when we were at our gathering the first time, this is what I wrote and read to my brothers and sisters who were gathered there, and I'd like to read it now to you. The Mississauga Nations. It is not a means to an end, it is our means to the future. It's not about financial growth, it's not about political clout. These things will come as they must, but nationhood is about who we are, who our children are. It is a recognition that we were and are a nation unto ourselves. Our nation stems from our shared history, culture, language, and values. First and foremost, we are brothers and sisters, families. No boundaries of land or government tactics have ever stopped me from being your brother. We have been apart for some time, but no more. It is not right to keep our families, our communities apart. So we will walk together. We will rejuvenate our nation. We will take the first step to the past, a past that will ensure our future. Our first step must be one of education, education of our shared history. Our elders can provide this knowledge. We must walk before we run. We must remember and teach, but we must not wait. Our people want this. Our children need this. All of our external issues will be resolved in time. Our fights will be many, but we will win, for we must. Nationhood is not a means to an end. It is the path to our people's future. Miigwech.
And when we come together as the Mississauga Nation, we remember that we were like this in the past. And it was these belts that joined us together. It was a history that was passed down from the 1600s when Ontario was first divided up. It was divided up by these segments, and the first one represented, the first council fire on the bottom represented Sault Ste. Marie. That's where the first council was held. The second one was on Manitoulin Island. The third was on Beaujolais. The fourth was at Rama. And this particular belt is different than any other wampum belt because it has a wampum shell tied to it. And the reason being, it's the signature of the sun, that as long as the sun shall shine, we'll remember these treaties that our ancestors made with the Five Nations. And the last diamond on here is represented by the Mississaugas of the Credit, who sit upon a tall pine tree, and there they watch all of the other council fires, including the Six Nations, so that if there's any trouble in the land, that they will fly there. And I guess in flying there, I utilized modern technology. I wrote to all of the different bands, sending out the story of the council records of 1840, so that we could remember our history, so that we could have that as a document of proof of how the land was divided up and how we made peace with the Five Nations. So in doing that, we as Mississauga Nations have to start to regain our history and bring that Mississauga Nation back to life. So we've come today, they smoke a pipe over there. They brought all, we've lit a smudge that we keep burning here so that we can have good minds and we can have good ways so that this agreement will last to future generations. So we wish to this gathering that's come together, and may the Creator look down upon us in a good way and have it a lasting effect so that we will no longer be prisoners of the residential schools or the school systems that have been imposed upon us, that we can regain our own history and walk proud and free into the future. Amen.
Thank you. I must apologize, there was an agenda all made up and it was supposed to go a certain way, and I, in my infinite wisdom, decided I'd change the agenda on the spot. So I would please like to ask Phyllis to come back up and finish her remarks. I can get away with that, she's my sister.
Yeah, it's good and bad. Chimigwech. First, I'd like to honor the land where we meet, and certainly the people who have welcomed us here, Chimigwech. Today, first I'll give my name. Wapshkin Makwa Kwendishnik Makwa Nodan, Wapshkin Mangdon Jabba. My spirit name is White Bear Woman. I'm of the Bear Clan, and I'm from Kirk Lake First Nation. And I'd first like to acknowledge the people I have brought with me. We brought I count 17 now. Thank you, Catherine, for joining us from Brantford. And we've got a team of counselors, elders, the youth committee, and our youngest one, Madeline, who is the baby there sitting with her mom. So I'm very proud that we have accomplished that and for such an occasion. I want to tell you a little bit about our community. We're a community just north of Peterborough, Ontario, about a half hour north. And we became a community back in the time 1781 to 1923. The Mississaugas participated by signing treaties and on a nation-to-nation basis. This allowed a number of us to come together as settlers and allow the settlers in Ontario to come and live amongst us. And for us, Greg has mentioned, we are part of the 1923 Williams Treaty, at least 4 of us, 4 of the Mississauga Nations. And in 1829, the Crown worked with the New England Company, a missionary group, to encourage farming and schooling of the First Nations people along the shores of Mud Lake. Mud Lake settlement officially became a reserve in 1889 with approximately 200 citizens. And there we occupied that territory, and in 1964, Mud Lake Reserve number 35 officially changed its name to Coeur Lake First Nation. Our community is on a peninsula between Buckhorn Lake and Chemung Lake, and we have 900 hectares. Our population consists of 2,229 people, and 1,719 are living out of the community, while about 800 citizens live in the community. We also have leased property that are held by CP holders, and that makes up about 226 homes that are non-member homes. We have an excellent education system. We have a First Nation school up to grade 3, and thereafter they are bused into Lakefield and Peterborough. We're very proud of our education program, and very proud that our children are still learning their language, their first language, Anishinaabe. We're also very proud of the sports that occurs in our community. Many have gone on and accomplished many things. We're part of the Little HL hockey team every year, and it brings out a lot of our parents, grandparents, and citizens to Mississauga. As well, we are encouraged by the number that are participating in fastball, and men and girls alike. Our leadership consists of 8 council, and we are no longer under the Indian Act for that. We have established our own election code just this past year. So we're able to have elections 3 times every 3 years rather than every 2 years. Our council consists of 5 men and 3 women. So the gender balance is occurring. We're very proud of our culture. Our culture, language, and old ways of living are still with us, and we're proud of that. We look to our elders to give us that guidance, and certainly we look to our youth to make sure that we are checking with them and checking in with their agendas and their hopes. We have 60 citizens who are fluent in their language, and we work to thrive and accomplish much more. We're very connected to the land, we're very connected to the water, and we know how important the water is. And we women need to keep working and making sure that water is of good quality. And yes, we are one of the communities who are under the boil water advisory, and the recent count is 11 homes that are boil water advisory, and 5 wells were dry. So it is a heavy risk on our First Nation Council. We're also very proud of our annual powwow. It's the 3rd weekend in September, and we have as many as 5,000 people who visit our community. It's pretty congested in that time. And we have visitors from all over the world at any given time of the year. And our cultural center has data that says we accomplish about 80,000 to 100,000 friends and family and businesses that frequent our community. The cultural center is quite active. They also have a link to the Elders Advisory Committee. They also provide any ceremony or language or any activities that would promote our culture. They also visit the schools. We're also very proud that we have developed a historical video of Shkigamon, and that is available to anyone who wants to view it, and it's available for sale. We're also in partnership with the Ganoma Hewagum, which we know as the Teaching Rocks at the Petroglyphs Park, just outside of Peterborough. And that partnership is with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Parks Ontario. So that's been a very good relationship as an extended arm to them. As well, we have many community infrastructures, much like any First Nation. We're a thriving First Nation. We're very proud, and we continue to work hard to maintain that and achieve more. So thank you very much for your listening here, and have a great day.
Language Chief. So we'd like to invite Gary Annan Zangari, the Scarborough Rouge Park MP, to come and say a few words.
Thank you very much. Respective chiefs, members of the Mississaugas across Ontario, Council General, colleagues. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, as well as my colleague Don Brosnack, who is the Member of Parliament for Thunder Bay Rainy River, and who's also the Chair of the Indigenous Caucus, as well as the only First Nations MP representing the province of Ontario. I'm delighted to be also joined by the Member of Parliament for Brantford, Phil McColeman, who's also here. When our government took office about a year ago, one of the things that was made very clear was that Canada will change its course with respect to our relationship with our First Nations communities. We engaged in a process of accepting all the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission from last year. And one of the things that we want to start doing is establish a relationship on a nation-to-nation basis with all of our communities. And as such, I'm very proud and very humbled to be here on this very historic day where all the Mississaugas come together as a very important nation so that the long road to reconciliation start. This is not going to be easy. This is not going to be easy for any of us, but it is a very important path that we must take. And I believe as chiefs and as leaders within the community, you have taken the right path. You're setting our country forward in a way where we can actually move forward as a collective of many nations that form this beautiful country. I want to continue to work with you. I know Chief LaForme is someone who has become a dear friend. We were even out last night at an event celebrating Centennial College's 50th anniversary. And personally, I would like to work with all of you in fulfilling the aspirations of this nation. And you can count on us. I know Don and myself are deeply committed to ensuring that we support you and the work that you do in whatever way we can. And you have many friends in Ottawa who will do the same. So with that, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm deeply humbled to be here, and I'm so proud to be part of this historic moment. Miigwech.
Now we'd like to invite Dave Lebec, MP for Brant, and Vilma Coleman, MP for Brantford, Brant, to come and say a few words.
Ani, bonjour, bonjour, hello. I just thought I'd break it up a little bit. I am humbled, so I want to speak to the elders. Thank you for your wisdom and your leadership. Thank you to the veterans that are here. As we move into November, we know that the allies and our friends First Nations people everywhere in Canada have fought alongside since the 1800s. To the chiefs, thank you for your leadership. To the youth, thank you. Those that are picking up the torch to move on to the next generation. To the singers, to the drummers, thank you for sharing your skills and talents. Thank you to the fire keepers who are over there keeping the fire. Thank you to our pipe carrier, to the opening Thanksgiving. To Consul General, to MPs, Councillor, to our Lieutenant Governor's representative, and Anthony, thank you. To those that have worked behind the scenes to put this wonderful event together, thank you. Chiefs always like the idea that they just get to sit there and sign something because they know that everybody else has been working like fast goose on the water with their feet moving. But I want to say that we...
So they're gonna sign it one time, just on their copies for now. So come on up. I'd like to ask Winston Taylor to come up and close for us today.
Then we go to on a gas to the outlet. And also, gentlemen, as you go out to your house, getting Winston of ones there. We do coalish, and I know to go to I get to water. We do wish now to some with them, to which cow all way on, and I will notice again, as you were back to some king. Joanne was unless one on yesterday already. Kids say the doors when you get a pen and you go to the oh, you got
Okay, so we're going to ask the chiefs to stand up and we'll come up and take some more photos, and then when we're finished, help yourself to some refreshments